The M3 Grease Gun is the final of the Chapter 5 Tides of War weapons, and this long-awaited iconic SMG is now finally here. Before we jump into the fastest way to unlock this weapon, its stats, and how it compares to the other SMGs out there, for those who just want the quick rundown, the M3 Grease Gun delivers the typical, at least since the 5.2 time to kill change, close quarter limited performance of really any SMG. With a low fire rate and high per bullet damage, it certainly feels, looks and sounds unique, but by and large performs very similar to weapons such as the MP28 or EMP. What does make this weapon unique is of course the availability of a suppressor, only the second weapon in the game to support such an attachment, which brings with it of course certain advantages. The lower fire rate in combination with low bullet to kill is also something to note, as it lends itself to quite powerful headshot targeting in close quarters. More on that just a little bit later on in this video. But moving on to the more detailed analysis then. To unlock this weapon should be quite easy actually. You're probably going to want to run majority as a medic, possibly with the relatively OP Nambu Type 2A, and then just go for the 3 objective captures, the kills or squad assists, the healing and doing damage, 20 fortifications, you can switch of course to support for that, but you definitely don't have to, and then another 12 objective captures. The best playlist or game mode to probably do that on is either Squad Conquest or, in my opinion, the currently limited Rain or Shine playlist, which features extreme weather variants of existing Conquest maps, including some of the Pacific. In terms of these stats, the M3 Grease Gun comes with a maximum damage of 33.6 and a minimum damage of 11.6, netting you a very low 3 bullet to kill in extreme close quarters. That is of course up to 10 meters. From that point onwards, you're going to be looking at a 1 bullet to kill increase every 10 meters until we reach that 8 bullet to kill at around about 51 meters, at which point you can expect the damage drop off to slowly start slowing as you reach your maximum bullet to kill at 9 at a distance of 75 meters and beyond. Not really that I would recommend you engage targets beyond 40 or 50 meters with this weapon, just given how little damage you'll be doing, but that aside, technically you can still kill people at those ranges. In terms of your fire rate, it's of course record low for the SMG category of weaponry at 449 rounds per minute, with a relatively good magazine size coupled with it at 30 rounds available. Your reload times are also not that bad, with a short reload of 2.05 seconds and a slightly longer reload at 3.0, and your recoil stats are surprisingly middle of the road, with noticeable recoil both horizontal and vertical, with 0.5475 vertical, with an additional 0.375 for each consecutively fired automatic shot, and 0.2 to the left and right. In terms of your specialization options, your first choice is between slings and swivels for 15% faster weapon switching, or quick aim for 33% faster ADS times. Then if you go down the left hand side, and most definitely the more close quarter focused build, you'll be looking at the enhanced grip for improvements to your hipfire accuracy, and the polished action, which reduces the accuracy penalty for hipfiring, allowing you to hipfire accurately for longer periods of time. If you go down the right hand side instead, you're looking at custom stock for improved accuracy while moving, and the lightened stock for 60% faster movement while aiming down sight. Your last choice then is most likely the most interesting of them, with the suppressor on the left hand side or the recoil buffer giving you a 20% reduction to your vertical recoil on the right hand side. In terms of that suppressor, actually, it doesn't greatly decrease the volume of your gun, but suppressed weapons in Battlefield 5 do not display damage direction indicators to the enemies you hit with them, which means it'll be a little bit harder for them to pinpoint exactly where they're getting shot from. Useful on more cover heavy or visibility limited maps such as Pacific Storm or Hamada when the Sandstorm is active, but less useful of course on more open maps where enemies usually see each other. The likes of Aerodrome or Panzerstorm are examples of that. In terms of my personal preferences, I tentatively go for quick aim, followed by the enhanced grip and polished action for improved hipfire performance in close quarters, and then, because I don't have too much trouble controlling the vertical recoil at distances where this weapon is going to perform amicably in terms of its damage output, the suppressor for a little bit of close quarter flanking, and if anything really, the uniqueness aspect of it. In terms of the comparative performance of this weapon to some of the other SMGs out there, while unique in terms of its damage model and fire rate, it really isn't that unique in terms of its performance. As previously mentioned, it performs very much like an EMP or MP28, at least up until about 40 meters, after which it actually struggles to compete with most of the SMGs out there in terms of damage output. If you're looking for a medium range SMG, then A, this is not really it, and B, thanks to the 5.2 update, that isn't really a thing in the first place anyway, but something like the EMP or even the MP34, which essentially behaves like an STG when equipped with the right fire rate upgrade specializations, actually perform much better. The MP34 being a heavily underrated weapon actually, especially since the 5.2 update. One thing to note, however, and as previously mentioned, is the headshot capabilities of this weapon. Thanks to its 4 bullets kill up to 20 meters, within that range, you can guarantee a 2-shot headshot kill when targeting exclusively those headshots, which is going to lead to an extremely fast time to kill, much quicker than most of the other available SMGs out there. And especially between those 10 and 20 meter engagement distances where most automatic weapons require 6 or at least 5 bullets to take down their targets, with the help of your headshot capabilities, you'll be out damaging all of them, because if you need 5 shots to take down your target and you hit only headshots, you're still going to require 3 shots, whereas you with your 2-shot kill, despite your fire rate disadvantage, are going to be dishing out more damage. In that case, if you are a headshot focused player, the M3 is one of the best close quarter SMGs out there, otherwise it just performs amicably. In terms then of your playstyle and how to use this weapon to get the most out of it, it's relatively simple in terms of as you would play most SMGs currently in the game. There isn't very much variety at the moment other than the relatively overpowered Nambu Type A. You're going to want to stick to close quarters, you're going to want to play aggressively, in my opinion, with a mix-up between hipfire and ADS, depending on your engagement distance, but absolutely if you can, go for headshots in close quarters. Truly that applies to all weapons, but I'd say all the more for the MP grease gun, because it gets even more significant advantages out of it, and I find it a little bit easier to target headshots with this weapon, given its slightly lower fire rate. If you are using that suppressor, I definitely recommend you go on even more flanks than usual, because it is going to come handy when attacking enemies from unexpected angles. They'll have a much harder time pinpointing you, but this also of course sadly applies to those of you who love to hide in bushes, because this will probably be the perfect gun to do so on, say, Pacific Storm or Iwo Jima. That pretty much wraps it up for the M3 grease gun. Feel free to share your own experiences with the weapon down below. Enjoy the video, rating would be much appreciated. But with all that being said, I'd like to thank you very much for watching and hope to see you in the next Battlefield 5 video.